Your speaker's up.
It's not that. It just. Ah! That camera keeps moving. And I'm sure it's because of something that I'm doing with my chair. Okay, well, hello there. My name is Beth Green, otherwise known as Granny Rocks.
And I'm James Maynard, otherwise known as Sweet Baby James.
And here we are at Building the World We Want. So I'm opening up the chat just in case anybody wants to talk to us. We are simultaneously broadcasting on YouTube and Facebook. And if you're on the public Facebook page, Granny Rocks On, if you put in a comment, we'll see it during the show. And then we can talk to you live. Otherwise, I'll answer you later. So if you notice the topic, let me put this out for you again. I just can't. Of course I can. How our inner mixed messages mess us up. And we have a hello from Elizabeth. Hello back. And she sent a heart and a cute emoji kind of thing. And then Todd says, hi guys, I'm here on YouTube. Nice to see you. Nice to
Hi.
see
Hello,
you
both of you.
too. Well, so there is so much to this topic. And you may say, well, what does this have to do with building the world we want? Well, we have to make sound decisions, or at least try. And there's so many things within us that get in the way of us making good decisions. So, for instance, we can say, oh, I can't protest. I just can't. I'm too scared. Or I can go in there and I can take care of this problem. And, you know, have you ever been in one or both of those? You know, I find myself on a pendulum swing. I really can't. Oh, here's Amy. She says, hi, Bath and James. And she sent
Hello.
us a namaste and some love. Hi there, Amy. So glad to see you. So, when it comes to making decisions about things, we really have to ask ourselves, can I do this? And should I do it? And I find that it's not easy to answer those questions. I mean, for example, the can I do it? So that's what the name of the show is all about. I just can't. I can't face it. I can't talk to my mother-in-law. Or the opposite is, of course I can. And Jeffrey says, good evening, and sends us this and a guy with sunglasses. Hello there, Jeffrey. Good to see you. So it's just as bad to say, I can do this. I can do this as it is to say, I can't. I can't. Because you see, both of those are being driven by fear. The I can't can be driven by fear, or sometimes it's true. But I'm talking about the inner messages, and I want to get, I mean, there's a lot to this topic. So it's like I'm in the I can't mode. You know, I'm weak, I'm scared, I'm powerless, I just can't. Whatever it is, I can't uh, change where I put this vase because my husband will be angry. You know what I mean? Like, really? Can't you? But maybe you can't. Maybe that's a really big thing for you on an emotional level. But then the other thing is, okay, then we get angry with ourselves for being the I can't. And then our ego, our pride, and our fear of looking like jerks can get involved. And then suddenly we say, I can single handedly go out and do this, or I can create a new career for myself at the age of 92, or start marathon training at 105. I mean, some people can do these things, actually. I'm not trying to discourage anybody. But what I'm saying is there is a kind of pendulum swing, and I have noticed it in myself. And I'm wondering if you have ever noticed it in yourself, that you flip flop between helplessness and ego and pride that says, I can do this. And then you pretend that you can do things that you can't do, and then you're in trouble. So that made me start thinking about, because see, I was seeing this in myself, right? So it made me start thinking about, well, how should I handle decisions like, should we move? Should we go into a residence? Should I try to go to that demonstration today? Whatever. It can be anything. And so I thought I would talk about that. Well, the first thing is that we're noticing that there's a lot of fear going on around both the I can't and the I can. A fear of looking foolish or looking weak, or a fear of being hurt, or a fear of retribution, or a fear of this, or a fear of that. And how clear can you be when you're in fear? I am not clear when I'm in fear. I might get into bravado. I might say, nobody is going to stop me. I can do this. Yes. Anyway, we can hurt ourselves badly being in that place. So we don't want to be dominated by fear, but we don't want to cover it up either by pretending. So here's a couple of tips that I have about how we should handle this. And I'd like to see, after I give myself and everybody these tips, I wonder how I'm going to do in the future. So, first of all, take your time. There are very few decisions that in life that need to be made immediately. Okay, a car is coming and about to hit your dog. Do something. Don't just sit and meditate on the question of whether you should remove the dog, whether you should yank it, whether, or try the comb. Or, some people, their dogs are right on the comb, but some of us are just going to have to, they're not that well trained. So there are things like that where you do need to make a split second decision. It could be life or death. But most of the time, it's our anxiety that feels like life or death. Catalina says, I am in my becoming era, and I flip flop between I can and I can't. I noticed I am in the I can camp more often. That is very cool. And so that's exactly what I'm talking about, this going flip flopping. But, I would like to find a more like sane way of being rather than flip flopping, right? The pendulum swings. Um, okay, so the first thing is to take your time. Now, when you take your time, you breathe. And when you breathe, you relax and you allow yourself to think. Now, the guy says to you, Mildred or Herman, will you marry me? And suddenly you feel like pinned to the ground. Or you've been dreaming all your life for somebody to say that to you and you blurt out, yes, right? Maybe you're not even thinking about the person. Maybe you just like the idea of finally somebody saying to you, will you marry me? So where is that yes coming from? Or this, no, I'm afraid, right? It's not that I really don't want to. And so we put all this pressure on ourselves, and that pressure comes from the anxiety of uncertainty. I can't stand uncertainty for 5 minutes. I've got to have everything resolved right now, yesterday, so I know. So now that is a real big no no when you're trying to make a decision about doing something or not doing it. So I suggest that we start practicing together, and maybe, next week, maybe you can send me some comments on the show where you say, whether you're doing it or how well it's going. So take your time. Even if it might hurt somebody else, that you're taking your time, or, but you really need to give yourself a chance to go through the whole process. The second big thing is to take the ego out of the whole thing. I have nothing to prove and I have nothing to protect. So I don't want to be based on. James, are you yawning?
I did have a yawn there.
You
Yeah.
did. Are you bored?
No, no, not at all.
Okay. Okay.
I think I clutched a little when you said, do I have something to prove?
Oh.
That rings a bell.
That rings a bell. Right. Well, sometimes we're trying to prove that we're too weak to do something because so that we have an excuse to do nothing. And sometimes we're busy trying to prove that we can do it because we're so afraid that we can't or that we haven't. So we have to take the ego out, the part of us that's trying to just live on self protection or on proving. So then I'm going to tell you that the universe spoke to me. I used to call it God. Now I don't know what it was. So, and said you should make all decisions at the intersection of intuition, observation, experience, and common sense. So let's say we decide that we're going to take our time. We're going to notice our anxiety that we have to answer right away, but we really don't. And we're taking our ego out. We're not going to try to prove anything. So now we look at intuition, observation, experience, and common sense. I want to leave intuition for a minute. So, observation. What has been my observation about this kind of activity? For example, what does it require? For example, we'll talk about, okay, I'm going to join a marathon. I have observed that people who go on marathons need to be able to walk more than 100 steps or 500 steps or 1,000 steps. I mean, don't go on a marathon. If you don't even pretend that you're going to walk on a marathon, if you can't do it. If you cannot take that many steps, go do something else. Find some other form of exercise. This is, something in you is telling you that you really should do this and you really can't. So it's an observation. You observe what are all the conditions. Oh, it's snowing today. It's 25 degrees below zero. I'm chronically ill and I have bronchitis. Maybe I shouldn't go to that march today. Maybe if I start coughing on everybody, that I will give it to everybody else, right? So I mean, there's some things that's like, okay, observe the conditions, observe yourself, observe. Okay, now the next thing is experience. Now this is even trickier than observing because I have to tell you, and you probably know this about yourself, that you can observe something, but you are so skewed in your mind that you say, "Oh, I observed it, and that lamp really was the devil. It was there was flames coming out of the light bulbs instead." So that was your observation. Well, perhaps that observation wasn't exactly accurate. So sometimes you even need other people's view. Now, sometimes you're right and they're all wrong. Maybe they're all blind and they don't see that it's the devil with the spewing forth. But maybe they do. Maybe. So there you go. So look at your observation. Now, experience is the same kind of nasty little thing. What is my experience with this? My experience is that I have tried to do something for my health for pretty much all of my life and I've never succeeded. So now that is my experience, right? I know it's going to be a failure. Well, your experience is very narrow. Let's face the facts. We have very little experience. I don't know what they're doing in out of Mongolia. You know what I mean? I don't even know what they're doing in Florida. So, in fact, I don't know a lot. So my experience is limited to my experience, even if I've lived 81 years and it'll be 81 at the end of the month. I have more experience than a 5-year-old, but my experience may become a prejudice rather than a source of information. So, there goes experience. Well, it's not that there goes experience. It means that we have to even recognize that there's more to everything. Okay, now Then there's common sense. Well, that's the biggest joke of the century. I don't know who has common sense at this point. We should say that common sense is totally uncommon. If you look at the society, if you look at religious beliefs, for instance, or some of our political beliefs, um, they're crazy. They're absolutely crazy. They make no sense. But to us, they seem like common sense because my mother told me that's the way it is. Or I read it in a book. Or as James would say, I saw it on Facebook. So, oh my God, in the era of social media, do we really have hardly any sense left? We're so being bombarded with misinformation and disinformation that it's hard to know anything, and it's hard to even think straight. So common sense is very, very uncommon, but I think somehow or other we know what we mean. So we can go back to my marathon. Should I go try to do that marathon when my knees are swollen? I can't stand, and I have a tendency to lose my balance. I don't think that is the proper way for me to behave. That does not make sense because I can see. Now, but what about intuition? Well, that sounds simple, right? Just tune in. Oh, my intuition tells me that that lamp is really the devil. I saw it in a dream. Well, maybe the lamp really is a devil. There is a lot of stuff going on, about the Epstein files. I don't have to tell you about all of that because you probably know. I don't give you the news because everybody else does. So I try to talk about our reactions, how we are on the inside, what's going on for us. So, some people have been saying, QAnon was right. There really is a cabal of very rich and powerful men who run everything and who are pedophiles. So part of that is right, but they're not all Democrats. So the whole thing falls, it's not all being financed by George Soros. So anyway, but there are so many wild things that that we think, oh no, that doesn't make any sense. I remember in my political days, which now I'm a social activist and a spiritual activist. When I was just more political, I had so many opinions about everything that I thought I knew how things were, and my vision was skewed by what I already believed. And I wasn't really willing to look at anything and look at it neutrally. James, you're encouraging the audience to go to sleep or be bored. I mean, this is not the kind of comment that I want on the show. Can you try to contain yourself? This is insulting. So,
Or maybe I'm blocking.
maybe you are blocking. Maybe you're, that's a very good possibility. So, my intuition is that gut feeling. And my gut feeling is I met this guy and he's it. I just know that he's it. It's my intuition. Well, maybe he's it, or maybe he's indigestion. And I but I'm so anxious, I'm so ready, I'm so primed to have an it that because he wears the right shoe size, I'm sure that's the guy, right? It was foretold in a dream that I was going to marry a man with balding on top of his head and a mustache, and so on. So,
And if he's got the right shoe size, that's a good fit.
that is a good fit for him. So here it is. Sometimes our gut feelings are so on, and sometimes they are so off. A lot of times they are based on our emotions, right? Our emotions are not a good foundation for our intuition. You hurt me. How do I know that? Well, because I just feel it. Well, maybe what I'm feeling is that you said something I don't like, and and I'm thinking that's my intuition when it's really my ego. Well, have I just lost you here? And then I would like to add one more thing, just to make things even worse. We are afraid of what we are going to think of ourselves if we make a quote mistake. And what is a mistake? Anything that causes loss or pain to us or to someone else, or that we think does, or that doesn't work out the way we wanted it to, we think is a mistake. It's very hard for us to have that bigger perspective of saying, well, maybe that looked like a mistake, but that was really exactly what was supposed to happen. Like, oh, wow, why did I decide to take a walk that night when I was, somebody stopped and raped me in the middle of the road? I shouldn't have done that. This shouldn't have happened. And I'm responsible and I did it. And so we are absolutely frozen with the fear that we're going to make a mistake. And it's not even that we're afraid we're going to make a mistake, it's that we're afraid we're going to beat ourselves up for having done it. And sometimes, guys, you don't know whether this is a mistake or not. Sometimes 12 years later or 50 years later, you realize it wasn't a mistake. It was right that you published that book that nobody read, because 50 years from this date, somebody picked up that book and it changed their life or the lives of other people. So you see how hard it is? So why do we go back to, I can't, or of course I can? Because those are simplistic answers that will give us the, now we know this is what we're supposed to do. So what am I saying with all of this? I'm saying have a little compassion for yourself and start by looking at the inner voices, what they are saying. Because as Catalina was talking about with her flip-flopping, there is nothing more uncomfortable than flip-flopping. Tonight, it's yes, I want to marry him. And the next morning, it's like, what am I thinking? Or the vice versa. And so this constant anxiety about making a mistake. So try to take your time, try to look objectively at things, try to take your ego out of the whole thing, and make a commitment to yourself that no matter what the outcome seems to be, that you're not going to beat yourself up. Maybe you'll actually learn something. Maybe you'll get another notch in your experience belt. I shouldn't have trusted him. I shouldn't have gone along with that. I shouldn't have left my parents' house. I shouldn't have gone to that demonstration and gotten arrested and shot. When you've taken your ego out, when you've promised yourself that you will not beat yourself up for what might transpire because of some decision you've made, when you finally come to terms with looking, observing, observation, experience, common sense, and come back to your intuition, if you believe that you can do something and you believe that it could do some good, then you should probably do it. That's my thought for tonight. So I want to tell you that, of course, I'd love to hear from James or anybody else in the audience, but I want to remind you that tomorrow night we do Music of Our Times, where James and I sing, he sings, I play the piano, and we create music that hopefully give us all hope and inspiration and the power to go on and face the incredible uncertainties of our times. You see, these days, life is even more uncertain because we used to be able to have certain predictability, and now we have none. There are no rules that are going to be, you can't say for sure that you're going to be protected when you go out there to speak because The First Amendment is under attack. So these are things that many people used to believe was sacrosanct. Right? Well, we don't know about what's going to happen with the stock market. We don't know what's going to happen with the housing market. You don't know what's going to happen with your job. You don't know what's going to happen with your income. You don't know what's going to happen with your health. You don't know anything. And yet you have to make decisions every day. I hope this was helpful. James, would you like to wake up and share?
What? What? Well, as I get older and older, I like to think that I can still do the things that I used to do. And so I get into that prove it mode. Oh, I'm going to prove I can do this. I can prove I do that. I can lift those weights. I can run real fast, whatever. And then another side of me says, "Oh, well, I'm in advanced years now. I need to be taken care of. I don't want to take too much responsibility anymore. I think I'd like to move to a residence." And the other voice in me says, "What do you mean move to a residence? You're still healthy. You're still fit. You can do all these things." So I go back and forth.
You're a flip-flopper.
Flip-flopper.
And oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. Like everything else I said wasn't bad enough, is we sometimes our inner voice is not our inner voice, it's somebody else's inner voice. In other words, if he's feeling like, oh my God, I can't handle it, we've got to move to a residence, I'll wake up in the morning and say, we've got to move to a residence, because I've picked up on his thinking.
So then you got to step back and be neutral and say, wait a minute, is that mine?
Right. We have to, so that I hope if we get one thing out of this, is that we have to step back. We have to take our time. We have to be neutral. We have to consider what we're seeing, what we know from experience, what we can learn from other people, but not ignore our gut instincts. But also notice that sometimes our gut instinct tells us that we can't do something because we haven't been able to before, because our fear is on top of it. But we have to have the courage to live our lives. Otherwise, they've gone to waste. So come listen to our music tomorrow, Thursday, at 7 p.m. Pacific time on YouTube and Facebook. And come back next week, next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Pacific time for Building the World We Want. And we have another comment. Amy says, I can see that many things I think about doing or think I should do are based on either trying to prove something or just reacting. Absolutely. Exactly. I mean, that is so perfect that you're realizing that, because that brings us back to get neutral, get the ego out, take a breath, think, feel, have courage. The courage to be honest, the courage to connect to our inner strength and our divine guidance, which I also believe is there to help us out. So if there are no other comments right now, if you put in a comment and I haven't answered it, it's because it just hasn't come up yet, but I'll see it later on social media. So please come back and share this program. Give it a love or a like on Facebook. Give it a thumbs up on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel. Follow our Facebook page. Do all those good things. Share this program if you know somebody else who might benefit. I can't believe there's anybody out there who doesn't face all of this. This feels like everything. We all are going through this big time in our world today as we're trying to figure out what to do about the assault on our democracy. And it becomes even more crucial that we get clear about what we can do and what we should do. So bless you and come back next week. So let's put on our music and say